The Mariners are 2 wins away from the World Series. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Monday, October 13th, 2025. This is Tony Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. And as always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, we have a Patreon called Control the Zone where we talk Mariners, Seahawks, all that good stuff. For more information, go to patreon.com/control the zone. Link in the description. The Mariners are up 2-0 in the ALCS. They win game 1 by a score of 3-1 last night. They win game 2 tonight, 10-3. And now they're coming back home with a chance to clinch their first ever trip to the World Series as early as Thursday. And, I was at Rogers Center for both of these games, of course. So on this show, I'll be giving you more of a behind the scenes of what it was like in the building, while Colby will fill in the lines of what he saw on the broadcast. We're going to talk about both of these games. More so tonight's, but definitely want to get into yesterday a little bit as well, because we haven't talked to you guys here on this show since then. Colby, this is a Blue Jays team that just looked like an absolute wagon in the ALDS against the Yankees, especially at home in Toronto. But the M's handled them very well last night, and tonight just straight up smoked them. So I guess let's just start with your impressions of how they handled business these last 2 nights.
Yeah. Aside from one guy, statistically speaking, pitching has dominated the series for the Mariners. It obviously started, last night with Bryce Miller. By the time you guys are listening to this, it might've been last night, but Bryce Miller was incredible in 3 days rest to give you 18 outs of 1-run ball. And boy, it sure didn't look like that was going to be the case after the first 2 hitters, but he rallied and
had 4 hitters, really.
Yeah. Probably had the best start of his career. Just considering all the
stakes.
Involved. Yeah. So it really is impressive what he did. And then, your guys in the back end, your dogs in the back end of your pen look great, and you just shut it down. And that was that. So tonight was a little bit different, or today, stupid afternoon games, was a little bit different just because Logan Gilbert wasn't good. Like, straight up, he wasn't good. And it was unfortunately been a start we've seen from Logan all too much this year.
And you and I talked about this. This team was not a good matchup for who Logan Gilbert has been all year long.
Right. And he only gave you 9 outs, and there was some concern. And then, Bizzardo came in and did what he does. Like, he's really good, and I still feel like we're not talking about him enough. And he gave you 2 massive innings with the game still on the line. This isn't like, Emerson Hancock's 2 innings where the game's basically decided, despite Hancock's best efforts to, undecided. He was great, and he went through the middle of the order once, and he was just fantastic. And it's just been that guy for most of this year. And, shout out to Vargas as well. He pitched very well tonight in 2 innings of relief, a guy who's trust over the last, couple of months. So pitching has been the calling card for the Mariners in this postseason. They have basically won every game that they've won because of their pitching. But tonight the offense also stepped up in a big, they did it with the home run ball, which is how we've kind of been accustomed to the Mariners winning down the stretch here. And they broke it out today. So really just a good effort all around. Again, there were some sketchy parts of the defense. Logan wasn't good. Hancock couldn't throw strikes, but just really solid 18 innings of baseball. And that's how you walk out of a, what was supposed to be a hostile environment. You could tell me if it was or wasn't, but that's how you walk out of there with 2 wins.
Yeah. So, to address that last part that you said there, like, I felt like the environment tonight was way more intense than it was last night. I feel like the build up to last night's game was better than it was tonight or today, whatever. Felt way more casual in the build up to it. Like I almost felt in a way, my wife Caroline and I were talking to each other. It kind of felt like we were just at like a regular season game in the build up to it. But yeah, like last night, like felt like, oh, we're at the ALCS, you know? But the atmosphere last night, I told you this when we were on our live stream on CTZ, like
last night being game one.
Yeah, game one. Like game one, it didn't live up to what I remembered like the wild card series being like, what that atmosphere felt like. But today definitely did, especially early on when like Springer hit that double. And even when Julio hit the 3-run home run, even after that, and after Naylor got on and all of that, like when Savage was able to get out of it, the crowd was super into it and it was super loud in there. But yeah, you know, once Polo hit that 3-run home run, then things started to shift pretty drastically. You know, JP adds on, and then once you know Naylor hit the 2-run home run to make it 9-3, people started leaving.
Yeah,
you know, people either started leaving or they started watching the Dodgers Brewers game on their phone, or they were watching Monday Night Football. Like I was looking around, you know, people just kind of started like. It was very much like the people who stayed around were just like doing it because like, hey, I spent a lot of money to buy these tickets. Now I'm just going to kind of like chill and we're just going to like talk amongst ourselves. Like the energy was completely sapped out of that building after Naylor hit that home run.
Yeah, that's interesting because, you know, I made a point even in like the second, third, fourth inning, even after the Blue Jays had made their little comeback and it was 3-3. I made the point on socials. I was like, it might be the broadcast, but it seemed quiet. Like obviously it really quieted down after Polo hit his home run, to the point where you could hear the players talking to each other on the field, on the broadcast and all that. But it seemed quiet. Again, sometimes that's just TV. But yeah, it didn't seem like there was a ton of energy in that ballpark. Really after
I would say around the third inning, it also kind of started to die down a little bit, even though it was tied. And I think that was just because like people started to go to the concourse, started to get food or go to the restroom or whatever. And so there started to be more empty seats consistently, you know, and like people would return, but then more people, you know, other people would go to the concourse and, you know, they would just kind of, you know, switch out. So yeah, it felt like the Mariners kind of just snatched the soul from that building tonight. And from this fan base.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I had multiple people come up to me and be like, good series. Like, good luck in the World Series, all that. Like, and I'm
definitely not doing that. No, nope.
I feel uncomfortable, you know, in saying anything in response to that as a Mariners fan.
You shut your mouth. You don't know my pain.
Yeah. But it definitely felt like the vibe leaving the stadium tonight was very much like it's over vibe.
Which, I mean, if these games were in Seattle and they dropped two, it probably would be very similar. So
right. And I mean, like it is very possible that people just went to their last baseball game of the entire year in Toronto.
It's definitely on the table. So
yeah,
you know, I just thought on TV it played as kind of, and maybe it's just because I'm not a part of that fan base, but like watching the Mariners on TV, you could like feel the stadium and you could feel the crowd. It came through very clearly, and I just didn't feel like it did these last two games. But who cares about that? We're talking about what happened on the field, really.
Yeah.
And you know, it's an interesting experience to have where you're just kind of like, this is playoff baseball. So nice to see that really wasn't actually the case until the Mariners kind of jumped up on them. But interesting.
Yeah. And they also did and credit to the Mariners of doing a great job of just shutting that crowd the hell up.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to talk more about these first two games in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you once again by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. For instant reactions following every Mariners playoff game, be sure to tune in to the Mariners postcast with Anderson Hurst and Christopher Crawford, available on both the Locked On Mariners YouTube and podcast feeds. So the Mariners had a great opportunity presented to them today after essentially stealing game one. And now when I said that on my short that I posted on YouTube, I saw some of you in the comments being like, they didn't steal it. They earned that. Saying that they stole it doesn't, that I'm not saying that they didn't earn it. They absolutely earned it, but they still, given the circumstances, right? Bryce Miller pitching on 3 days rest, the Blue Jays being
not a game you were well set up to win.
Yeah, the Blue Jays being very well rested and coming off of a massive series against the Yankees where they looked so dominant. You're going to their ballpark after you had to play 15 innings of an incredibly emotional game.
Yep. Let's all be adults and not be, upset about wording on something. They stole that game. Like, come on.
Yeah.
They stole that game, and they were the better team for 9 innings. Don't get me wrong, but they stole that game.
Yeah.
It's not a game that if the Mariners weren't playing in that game, nobody in this fandom would have any opinion on you saying, oh, they stole that win from this other team. Like, because that's what happened. They won a game that they probably on paper didn't have much business winning.
Yeah. So, they had the opportunity here where they were kind of in a way playing with house money, right? They already stole home field advantage. With the win last night, they already made it so that they wouldn't have to win another road game in order to advance to the World Series. And the Mariners wound up doing what they've done a lot this season, frankly, which is like take a great opportunity and actually capitalize on it. Like you think about what they did in Houston. They won 2 of 3 and it was like, awesome, cool. That's all you really needed to do. But then they went the extra mile and they swept them, right? Tonight, they went the extra mile. And not only did they go the extra mile, they smoked these dudes. Like it felt like this was going to be the game where you got 2 high-powered offenses. They're just going to throw haymakers at one another. And from the 3rd inning onward, the Mariners kept the Blue Jays off the board. Meanwhile, the Mariners kept throwing haymakers, right? They never really let their foot off the gas. Like this does feel like a team, we're hearing them say things like job's not finished and all these things, right? Like their actions are backing that up.
At the end of the day, the Mariners are just a better baseball team than the Blue Jays, or at least they have been for the last 2 days. Like that's really what it is. They've outplayed them. They've outplayed them defensively. They've outplayed them offensively. They've outpitched them. They've out-homered them. Like they've just been the better team and there's still, 2 big wins to go out and get. But you do have 3 chances at home to at least get one of them. And if you get one of them, you put Toronto in a really bad spot. I mean, Toronto's not in a great spot right now. They have Bieber going game 3, probably Gossman on short rest or a bullpen day in game 4, maybe Max Scherzer, but that's like the husk of Max Scherzer, not prime Max Scherzer, but like you already put them in a pretty tight spot and you get to counter with Kirby and with Luis at home, and maybe Brian Wu for game 5. We'll see if everything is there, but that's also kind of going to be a glorified bullpen day from the sounds of it. So we'll see if that works out for him or not. But yeah, like winning these first 2 games, you've outplayed them. You outplayed them in their home ballpark after, an emotionally and physically draining 15-inning win. To travel across the country again after traveling across the country on Thursday to play a 15-inning game on Friday to then have your flight be delayed and fly cross country on Saturday evening or whatever to get to the ballpark. Like 18 hours before you were getting ready to play game 1, and then to win game 1 and then come back 12 hours after you win game 1 and win game 2. Like, that's impressive. I mean, there's no way around it. The Mariners have been jetting across the country for the last, seemingly 4 or 5 days, and they went into a ballpark, and they did not look like the team that was jet lagged. They did not look like the team that was running low on emotion or running low on fire or motivation or anything. They looked like the heavy favorite. They looked like this is varsity versus JV. And again, there's still 2 huge wins to go get. Toronto's not going to go down without a punch. Like Vladdy's still very good. Springer's still very good. Varsho is better than he was today, for sure. So it just, you kind of flipped the script on the Blue Jays, and it looked like you were the team that was well rested. You were the team that, just demolished your division rival in an ALDS and didn't need to go 15 innings and beat Scooble twice and scratch and claw for everything against the Tigers. So yeah, you kind of flipped the script on them, and it's because you just flat out hit them. You outpitched them. You played better defense than they did. I mean, it really is that. And it's, again, like, the vibes, the momentum, whatever you want to call it. But like, no, you've just been better than these guys. There hasn't been a lucky break that has gone the Mariners' way that has led them to win these games. I know you didn't probably get to watch this, Ty, but like on the post-game show, like David Ortiz and Derek Jeter are shocked, I say, that the Blue Jays lost the first 2 games to the Mariners. And it's just like, for what? For what reason?
I talked about this with our friend Ben Ranieri on his show, Sea Level, the other day. Like, these 2 teams obviously do it in very different ways, but I feel like they're equal in terms of talent level.
Yeah.
Like, at least, going into the series. Now, the last 2 games, I feel like the Mariners, by and large, have looked like the better team. But going into the series, it felt like these are 2 equal teams. This is truly like a coin flip series to me. So I don't get how, I mean, like, I guess shocked that like it has looked so much in the Mariners' favor that the Blue Jays, outside of really just a handful of innings, have looked competitive.
Yeah.
Or have looked non-competitive, rather, I should say. Like, I think that part is shocking. Sure. But in general, the fact that, like, if you told me the Mariners were going to win both of these games, I obviously would have been like fairly surprised, but not like, that's not possible.
Yeah.
So Colby, we've gone way too long without mentioning Polo-October. Polo does it again tonight. The big 3-run home run, which proves to be the game winner. Mm-hmm. He had 2 big RBI last night. He obviously had the game winner against the Tigers. He was a huge, massive reason that you overcame Scooble in game 2. Like,
yep,
the dude has been incredible. And it takes me back to, a point that I made before the season even began, shortly after Polo signed. Like, what an insane bet to take on yourself to forego going to Minute Maid Park or Daikin Park now and playing half of your games there, or Yankee Stadium and playing half of your games there. Those were the other 2 teams that were in on him. And going, you know what? I want to try and rebuild my value and turn my career around playing half of my games at T-Mobile Park. And
yeah,
he cracked the code. And he's been, outside of, like once he got into May and he kind of fell off, but outside of that, he's been incredible.
And he's really having bad in June too. It was 2 solid months. He was terrible.
Yeah. Like April, he was like the second best hitter in baseball. May and June fell off. And then after that, he's been incredibly consistent. He's been one of the Mariners' best hitters. He is now having a sensational October, has been a huge part of this thing, has had the biggest hits of this postseason for the Mariners. So impressive. Just going back to that decision that he made, and obviously the Mariners gave him the most money and all that. Yeah. But still, like, million really worth taking that major of a risk?
I mean, I think you kind of have to give credit to the Mariners here for having a good enough relationship with Polo, and for forging a good enough relationship in what was his worst career year for him to even be open to that idea to come back. I think you have to give some credit there to, Edgar Martinez, who worked with him briefly at the end of last year, and Dan Wilson as well. I mean, clearly he saw something he liked, because like you said, it certainly wasn't the best opportunity to rebuild value. But there was something about the team that he liked. There's something about the clubhouse he liked. There's something about the coaching staff that he liked. And, maybe he did like hitting in the ballpark last year. It's just, he was hurt the entire year. So he just never really got an opportunity. Like, maybe he did feel like, no, I can hit in this ballpark. I just got to be healthy. And so, and plus, now he's hitting at T-Mobile Park. You can hit anywhere. If you can hit T-Mobile Park, you can hit anywhere. And so that's raised his value even more. So, give him credit. I think he's probably played his way out of the Mariners' offseason plans. We'll see. Certainly wouldn't be upset if
I mean, they're getting a lot of playoff revenue.
They are. So we'll see if they can land it. I still feel
those
like
are discussions for much later times.
Hopefully.
Yes.
I mean, at least until next
week. Mean, at worst, they're playing 6 games.
Yeah,
in the series.
Game 6 is on Sunday.
Yeah.
So at the very least next week. But it's. I still feel like they're probably going to have to pick between Naylor and Polo, and I don't think there's necessarily a bad choice there. But I'm still going with Naylor, who, by the way, also had a very nice day today.
It was clear like he was dealing with the shoulder issue again. And after Dan and the trainer comes out, and he looks in some real pain there, especially on a couple of those swings, and his shoulder kind of went limp on the swing where he struck out. Comes back out there, makes a great diving play down the line, and then he hits a 2-run jack later on. Like,
they mentioned on the broadcast that Dan went to Josh in the 5th inning, after the 5th inning, and said, "We're taking you out." Miles was, warming up, and he was getting ready to go in, and Josh told him, "To hell you are." And, he went back out there, made the great play, hit the home run. Naylor's now had 3 3-hit games in the last 4 that the Mariners have played.
And I mean, we talked about it, like he was having really good swings there early on in the Detroit series. It just, he had nothing to show for it. And finally the results are starting to come in, and, obviously with the birth of his baby, he kind of has less on his mind. I would assume. So it just seems like he's kind of out there playing a bit more free. He's still playing through a lot of pain and all that in his shoulder. Who knows what else he's dealing with, potentially physically.
Everybody's playing through something right now.
So Josh Naylor just having a hell of a postseason right now as well. Yeah, absolute dog. Edward Bizarro, absolute dog. Jorge Polanco, absolute dog. Yeah, that one standing up, crazy. Yeah, combo meal tonight for Josh Naylor. Just can't say enough great things about him. All right, so we're gonna wrap up here with a couple final thoughts on the game tonight, and look at what's ahead in just a moment. But first, a reminder: this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. And if you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with promo code LOCKEDONMLB. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. So there were a couple of moments tonight where I was like, the Mariners are going to win. The one main one that I really want to mention here is when the guy behind me, when remember when Cal made the diving throw and it seemed like maybe he was a little shaken up on the play?
Yeah.
The guy behind me went, "Oh, please." Like he was wishing for Cal to be hurt. And I was like, okay, Mariners are going to win now.
Rent free, baby. Rent free.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, you're going to put that energy out there for your club. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds a little desperate, but okay.
Yeah. The other one was when the Mariners were up 3-0. Julio had hit the home run.
Mm-hmm.
And and at the start of the bottom of the first, the Blue Jays still hadn't hit yet in this game. The Blue Jays put on the screen rally time
in the first.
in the first inning.
I mean, it kind of worked, but also like, no, too soon.
Yeah. By the way, they did that in like the 7th inning last night, only once.
Yeah. I mean, that's an appropriate time.
Yeah, that's an appropriate time. They did it twice today, including in the first inning before a single Blue Jays hitter stepped in the batter's box.
I mean, the hidden advantage of this series is actually the ballpark operations people for both teams, because the Mariners wouldn't be caught dead using their rally, their rally caps or their whatever thing in the first inning. No. That's time to go straight music. You try and fire up the crowd a little bit. It's not a time to be like, ballads or anything like that. No. It's time to get the crowd up on their feet. So, ballpark atmosphere. Mariners are really good at creating it. And it doesn't seem like something that would be that hard to do, but apparently, woof. But
again, weird vibes at these games. Very weird vibes. Yeah. And this isn't to say anything about all Jays fans, to be clear, because I assume there are going to be some Blue Jays fans in our comments. This is not about you specifically. Don't worry. I get there. And I met some great Jays fans.
I have never met like a bad Blue Jays fan.
Yeah. I'm just saying there was this one guy behind me.
Sure. There's one in every fan base has these idiots.
Yeah. And I hope specifically the Mariners sweep the Blue Jays
for that guy.
For that guy alone.
Sure. Yeah. When I knew the Mariners were going to win this game
is when they caught the final out, or when they had the double play.
With Hancock on the mound. No, it was when Mitch Garver hit a triple.
That was crazy.
Because Dalton Varsho, one of the best defensive players in baseball, just didn't play well today.
I don't know how well you could have you saw it on the broadcast, but on the diving catch that he made to end that whatever the inning was, it was the 3rd inning on Gino's fly ball. That was a god awful route. That was not a great catch. That was a terrible route that he made up for by making a nice recovery. Which is kind of the same as like when he made that bobbling catch that went viral earlier this year, where like that was a play it was a terrible play, great recovery.
Right.
Dalton Varsho had a god awful night in center field, and I don't really know why, because the skies were fine.
Yeah, so that like loop single that kind of dumped right in front of him too, and I don't know. It was weird because Varsho's really good. Don't get me wrong. He's very good out there. And like, I assumed he was going to catch that ball. And when he didn't, and he was kind of like a circuitous route trying to like,
that's why I'm mentioning it, by the way, because I was like, What's going on? Like, this guy's like really good.
Yeah, because like if Randy has a moment like that, you're like, okay, I mean Randy's not good.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Like
Randy
would do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Oscar Hernandez would have a moment like that.
Yeah. Varsho is the elite of the elite.
Yeah.
So for him to have that many misplays in one game, it was weird. But when he didn't catch that, I was like, okay, like, come on. They're done. JP had the most JP hit you've ever seen in your entire life.
Very
Work a
JP
3-2 count, foul off a bunch of good hittable pitches and then just kind of flick the bat at the ball and have it dump into shallow left field. I was like, okay, yeah, this one's over at that point.
Yeah. So let's quickly talk about what's ahead. What are you interested to see in game 3?
Mariners win.
Well, yeah. It's a good start. Yeah.
I do not care how it happens.
Neither do I. Neither do I. Just have more runs than the Blue Jays at the end of game 3.
Or you could give up fewer. That's also an option.
Sure.
Plenty of ways to win baseball games. You can score more or give up fewer. Like,
yeah.
Either one. They both count the same. But Bieber starting game 3. It'll be interesting to see how the Blue Jays kind of manage that situation because the Blue Jays are up against it here. Like they can't take as many risks as the Mariners can.
Yeah.
So, if Bieber kind of gets caught in a bad spot in the second or third inning, how quick of a hook is Schneider going to have? And we've seen so far in this series that he's going to have a pretty quick hook on these guys. And so if you can get his pitch count up a little bit, get runners on base, can you get into that bullpen early? And this is the one stretch where you have 3 games in a row. So if you can get into the bullpen early in game 1 with what they probably are going to do is some kind of bullpen game in game 4, it can really have an impact over these next couple of games. So I want to see them put pressure on. Bieber throws strikes for the most part. I think he's been pretty good since returning from Tommy John in the middle of this year. But again, there's first year back from Tommy John. Stuff isn't usually quite where it was. Command isn't quite where it was. And obviously you kind of have a limited pitch count. So I think there's a real opportunity to get to the Blue Jays bullpen in game 3 early, which has, double bonus. A, the Blue Jays bullpen isn't that good, so you can attack that. But also B, it can set them up to be in a real tight spot on, game 4 and game 5. So I'm interested to see how Bieber looks. I'm interested to see the Mariners game plan against him as well. And, playoff George Kirby's pretty good. So it will be interesting to see how Kirby looks in what is now his third appearance in this playoff series, right?
Of this postseason,
yes,
2
starts,
postseason appearance total.
It would be his 5th total.
Yeah.
So and he's been pretty darn good in all of them so far. And this is I don't want to say it's a better matchup. Like the Blue Jays lineup is better than the Tigers, but obviously Kerry Carpenter just owns George Kirby and Kirby. Typically speaking, you feel better about him facing a bunch of righties than you do lefties. But I think, how soon you get into that bullpen in game 3 is going to be critical for the game 4. And if you need it, game 5.
Yeah.
How nice is it to say if you need it after 2 games?
Yeah. Well, and that kind of leads into what I'm most interested to see here is like, again, can you continue to go the extra mile? You have the opportunity here to just like do away with the Blue Jays. Great opportunity, especially because now, like, again, you basically stole game 1.
Yep.
Logan didn't pitch well in game 2, but you got through it and you didn't have to use Mooney. You didn't have to use Brash. You didn't have to use Spire. So you're now in the meat and potatoes of your rotation. You are potentially going to get Brian Wu back in game 5 if you need to play it. And your bullpen is in fantastic shape. You have the huge advantage here now. Can you just ride this wave of momentum that you've built here in these first 2 games and just get them the hell out of here? So really interested to see that. Really interested to see just what the vibe is going to be with this team. Obviously, the vibe in the ballpark is going to be insane. Because
I assume, like, I don't think Mariner fans are going to rest on their laurels because they have a 2-0 lead. And
no.
I mean, we'll see. There's a lot of concern about like how many Blue Jay fans are going to be there. It's like, there'll be some. I don't think it's going to be like a normal regular season game though, where it's a Blue Jays home game, more or less. I don't think it'll be close to 50-50, but I understand some trepidation there, sure, but yeah, the ballpark should be jumping and it should be, hopping, and people should be excited, and we'll see if the emotions carry over from the ALDS. I mean, this is kind of to the point now where people are like, this is what I wanted them to get to, and I was going to be happy, and now it's like, well, 2 wins away from doing something you've never done in your franchise's history, which is guaranteed to be hosting 2 World Series games at a minimum. Like that's all you need to win. Think about it this way, Ty. Jordan Levitt, longtime subscriber to our Patreon and all that, longtime listener.
Mhm.
He told me this last night, and it was just crazy to think about it in this perspective. Entering today, the Mariners only needed to go 7-6 the rest of the year to win the World Series.
Mhm.
Which, by the way, ironically, winning 7 of 13 games is a 53.8% win percentage. We round up on the show. 54% would have won you the.
Why?
Yeah, math, baby, math. They won today. What that means is that the Mariners only need to go 6-6 for the rest of this year to win the World Series.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
but
another way to look at this. Yeah, another way to look at this too is like you only have to win 2 of the next 5.
Mm-hmm.
The Blue Jays have to win 4 of the next 5. If I told you the Blue Jays only had to win 2 of the next 5 and the Mariners had to win 4 of the next 5, how would you feel?
Not great. Not great. Not totally defeated because, you got Kirby and Castillo at home, but like, yeah. Is there any part of you whatsoever? And you guys can answer this too, by the way.
Sure.
If the Mariners go up 3-0, how nervous are you that they're about to be the 2004 Yankees? Be honest. Be honest about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, dude, they were up 10-3 tonight, and I was watching Emerson Hancock fail to throw strikes, and I was like, they're gonna lose 11-10. Like the thought, like okay, that wasn't like the main thought I had.
No, but it creeped in the back of your. You're like, oh,
it creeped into my mind because I'm just like,
no, get out of there, get out of there. No. But
plus I'm like, dude, this is too easy. Like, what's like
no, this isn't no.
like
what?
The
tying run will come to the plate before the end of this game. I guarantee it. And it just no.
Yeah, I'm just like picturing it in my head. Like Vladdy's gonna come up with like the bases. It'll be like 10-6, and Vladdy's gonna come up. It's like 10-7 or something, and then he makes it. Then he makes it 11-10, and they're all walking off, and this crowd is losing its mind. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I did it like that thought. I think vision popped up and
natural.
Popped into my head
for Mariner fans.
Yeah,
anybody who's paid attention to the Mariners at all for the span of more than 30 minutes had that thought today. I guarantee it.
I got to tell you though, being surrounded by another team's fan base and watching them doom does help. It really does help.
I mean, it kind of gives you like some perspective where you're like, oh, well,
they think it's over.
We're going to lose, but they are like
they think it's over. So I'm like, okay,
so, I mean,
yeah, it does help. You guys should try it. You guys should go to a Mariners away game once. Like,
so many why would I travel to Donald of Major League Baseball to go watch the Angels in that horrible stadium?
It helps with the perspective a little bit. I'll just say that it does help a little bit with the perspective.
But I don't know. But yeah, it's been a fun 2 days, and fun 3 day. Great sports weekend for the city of Seattle, or just Pacific Northwest sports in general. Yeah. Unless you're
Kraken are undefeated. Seahawks just got a big win in Jacksonville. Mariners obviously survived the ALDS.
3 games in 4 days, and
yeah,
now the heavy favorites to advance to their first World Series ever. UW's quarterback had 500 total yards and 4 touchdowns, and they're going to Michigan where they win. They'll be a top 25 team. Even WSU was a 32-point underdog, and they went down to Ole Miss, and they only lost by 3. So, if you're anything but an Oregon Ducks fan, you're probably pretty happy right now. If you're a Ducks fan, you don't deserve to be happy anyway. So how about that? Screw you.
The Sounders also won, and they did the wind dance. They did the Mariners wind dance. That was really cool.
1-0 win. They scored in the fourth minute, and that was it.
Yeah,
Very Mariners.
It's also cool, like seeing how the other Seattle teams have kind of rallied around the Mariners. Like we've heard from Kraken players talking about, like, because they were at Game 5 of the ALDS, and they're talking about, like,
not for all of it, but sure.
Yeah, not for all of it, but they were like, we want to keep it going, and we love what those guys are doing. We heard that, like, the Seahawks erupted when they were watching Game 5, and the Mariners walked it off
in the hotel.
Yeah, and again, like the Sounders doing the wind dance after one of the goals, like super cool, just super cool. Again, this is a baseball town.
Yep, it just hasn't always done it.
And that's not to say it's also not a football town and all that.
Great sports town.
Yeah, but it is a baseball. This has been a sleeping giant, and it's finally getting the national recognition that it deserves, and it's finally getting the moment that it deserves.
Yep.
And
great sports town.
It was so fun these last few days to be a part of this thing. And I really hope that was the last baseball game that I've gone to this year.
We all do, but
yeah,
it's
because Colby doesn't want to hear me say 5-0.
Good Lord. Yeah, and meanwhile, I've sat through 29 innings to see 2 losses. Awesome. Ty sat for fewer innings to see 3 of his 4 wins, and I sat through to see my 2 losses. Awesome. Justice. Yay. But it's also something like, feels like the only team the 2016 Cubs, like, other than that, I don't think I've seen a fan base that like wants this more than Mariner fans want whatever it is that's about to happen. So it's really cool to see.
It's very much in line with that, right? It's
sure,
like
it's only half as long, but sure.
Yeah. Obviously not as many years as like the Cubs, not as many years as like the 04 Red Sox, all that, sure. But like
the 05 White Sox.
Yeah, but it's I mean, they're the only team that's never made it to the World Series. Like, and
still have to win 2 more games to get there, people.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's very possible by the end of this week, we're no longer saying that.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Teddy Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Teddy Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day. We'll see you next time. Peace.